All right, let's look at how we actually compile a C++ program under cygwin. I think you've done this on Linux in a previous course, and you'll find the process similar. So first I'll open up a cygwin window. Um, Let me drag it onto my display area. If you'll notice, I'm capturing only a portion of my display this time and not the entire display, hoping that the resolution of the video will be a little bit better. Do a directory listing. You'll see I have the temp directory we created last time. Don't really want to keep that hanging around, so let me get rid of that. I'm going to actually create a source directory which I'm going to work in, and I'm going to use the Emacs editor to actually create just a hello world C++ file. So actually the Emacs window opened up on the other display, so let me drag it over here. This is actually the Windows 32 version, or the Windows version of Emacs that we installed with cygwin setup last time. So you can actually might find this useful to run from within Windows. You can actually create a shortcut link to it if you want, just so that you'll have it available. It's not necessary to actually start it up from within the cygwin window. Another thing to notice is that actually back in my cygwin command window, when I started up Emacs, I didn't get the command prompt back. The reason for that is it won't come back until Emacs finishes. That's not really convenient because a lot of times I want to be able to issue commands from my cygwin window at the same time I'm using Emacs. So I could open up another cygwin window. Alternatively, the standard way you do this is actually run Emacs in the background. I can do that just by appending an ampersand to the command line. Drag my Emacs window over, and then now I've actually got my cygwin window from which I can issue commands, as well as my Emacs window. So simple hello world, uh, include IO stream using namespace standard int main cout hello world del return 0 and closing brace. And then now I can actually close it by clicking on the disk icon, or from the menu I can click on save as. It's grayed out because I just saved it. Or you can see also I can use the keyboard shortcuts Control X, Control S to actually save it if I make any changes. So Control X, Control S. Back in my cygwin window, I'll see that I've actually got the hello world.cpp. The one with the tilde after it is a backup file. I made a change there and then resaved. Emacs will always by default will save a backup of the previous version. So here's our C++ program. I can now compile it. The default output file name is actually A, or in the cygwin world it turns out to be a.exe. Try to run it, I get an error from bash. It actually can't find the command, and that's because the current directory is not in my directory search path. So I have to do /a to actually run the program that's in my current directory. I could also use the complete path to the executable, and I can either use A or a.exe. I'm not actually typing this fast as you may see in the video. What I'm doing is actually using command line editing. I can use the cursor keys to actually recall previous commands and move back and forth in the command using the left and right cursor keys to actually edit the command line. Okay, a.exe. Let me recall the g++ command that I used. Typically, we want to name our output, our executable file appropriately. I can do that with the -o option. You'd normally do this perhaps by creating a make file. Now I've got a hello world.exe, and if I just actually type in the first couple of characters and hit the tab key, bash will fill out the rest of the file name for me. And I can either use hello world.exe or just hello world will run the program. So again, we do have a C compiler installed, as well as a C++ compiler. I also installed make last time. One little trick I'll show you if you're dealing with just a simple single source code application, single source code file application, I can just type make hello world, the name of the desired output. It will find the corresponding source code file and then call the appropriate compiler. So since it found a hello world.cpp, it knew it had to use the C++ compiler to actually build the output file name. So you can actually make is useful in the simple case, even if even without a make file. It saves me a little typing. Of course, for more complex applications where you have functions and multiple source files, or need to actually link with a particular library, we'd need to have a make file. Let's see, a couple comments now, I guess, about the Emacs editor. Again, this current editor that popped up here is the Windows version of Emacs. If I type Emacs at the command line and then hit the tab key twice, the shell lists all of the applications that are in the directory search path that begin with those 5 characters. And I'll see Emacs and Emacs client. The 3 I'm most particularly interested in are Emacs, Emacs-NOX, and then Emacs-W32. Emacs is actually linked to Emacs-W32, and that's the version of Emacs that's being run when I type Emacs now. The NOX version, if I type that, it runs a version of Emacs directly in my terminal window. This is handy for if you need to use Emacs and you don't have a graphical display available. Again, that's not all that common these days, but a couple decades ago we had computer systems that only had a single terminal available, and then you'd have to run an editor like VI or Emacs in that terminal, Control XC to exit. Again, it's a lot more convenient to use this graphical version of Emacs. In the next video, we'll install the X Windows system, and I'll install the X Windows version of Emacs. So we'll actually have 3 different kind of versions of Emacs that we can run: the NOX, the W32, or the X Windows version. After I install the X Windows version, when I type Emacs, what it will try to run is the X Windows version at that point. And if you want to run the Windows 32 version, you can always call it using the complete name Emacs-W32 to get that particular version of Emacs. Okay, but that's it for now. See you in the next video.